did I start writing music? I would say I think I've written music since I was very young, but when I formally started was probably in the early 80s. I think that's when I really was able to focus because I went through a period where I wasn't working full-time, and we had some new electronic equipment in the studio and whatnot, so I was able to play around with that. Leon was running the offset printing business, so I think that's when I really started to focus on writing originals.
Yeah. And I started writing music the year after they invented the pencil. Now, I don't remember what year that was, but probably around 1960. During that time, my professional composition career during that time was when I was working at Blue Note Records as A&R man, and that's when I had my first recordings, right, 65, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, for a while anyway.
So when did you both start working together writing music?
Yeah, that's a good question.
That's a good question. Probably not long after we got married. I think we got married around 78,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And we started working right away. In fact, that's what attracted us to each other, was the fact that we were both into music, and we had a certain vision for the kind of music that we wanted to do. We wanted to, I know I had a vision for what I wanted to sing, how I wanted to perform, and Leon, his vision was similar to mine. You know? So I think that's what started. We met because I was singing background with Leon Evans, I think.
Leon Evans, yeah.
And Leon was his arranger and conductor, and he needed some background vocals, so I just happened to be a part of another group, and we sang background for Leon Evans. And also, he caught me playing the piano a little bit. I was playing Misty.
And I said, what?
But the part that he was mainly focused on was the bridge, because he said that a lot of people don't play the correct bridge to Misty, and I just happened to know the correct bridge, so that's what attracted me. I think that's probably what attracted me to him. But
Yeah. So we've been attracted to each other for a long time, and as of now, one thing that we have going is that wherever people see one of us, they expect to see both of us, because we are now the Philadelphia Jazz Siamese twins. So
yeah, we're both fans of jazz. Jazz in particular, music in general, but jazz in particular. We are fans first and foremost. We're both musicians and performers, but we're more fans than we are performers, because we want to support jazz in all of its forms, and we just enjoy it. You know, we enjoy going to the concert, talking about it when it's good, talking about it when it's bad. But mostly that's what we like to do. That's our passion.
Good.
And what was the first tune that we wrote together?
We didn't write any tunes together for a
I
long
think it
time.
might have been Let It Be Yesterday.
Let It Be Yesterday.
Yeah, that might have been the first one. I came up with the melody and the lyrics, but I tend to write in metaphors, and Leon was not crazy about some of my metaphors. So he had to make some adjustments here and there, or I made adjustments based on, you know, his opinion, his advice. You know, so I think that was probably the first one we actually wrote together.
That sounds right.
I think I wrote Let It Be Yesterday was a song that came to me thinking about old relationships, and just about every person that I know has a relationship where we didn't want it to end, you know, and it ended, and we don't quite know why it ended. So that was my way of kind of expressing that situation, you know, being in a relationship that ended, and, you know, one person leaves for whatever reason, and the other person is standing there with their hands out in the air, wondering, you know, what happened. So I think that was just my way of wishing that the time could go back, you know, and how can I express that in a song. And so that's where that song came from. It was, let me see, I wrote Let It Be Yesterday. That was probably one of those songs I wrote in the early 80s. And then played it for Leon and came up with the lyrics, and we discussed how a better way to say certain phrases that we had. Trying to think of one in particular that I think I might have said. Then you came by and spoke on goodbye, and he didn't like that, so I changed it to then you came by to tell me goodbye. Was a clearer thought.
Right.
So those are the kind of things that Leon helped me with, and I think I've gotten a little better at being a little clearer in my lyric writing, because I tend to be a little a little spacey, I guess.
Yeah. Well, Ella always was. When I first heard her thoughts about writing, I admired her command of the language, her ability to communicate in the language, and I'd worked with hundreds of singers before that, and she had all of the things all the advantages that I lacked, that they had and used. She had them, so that's another thing that attracted me to her, and musically and stuff.
I think the thought of the song, or the message in the song, or the story of the song is pretty clear, and I would, for a singer that wanted to sing that song, I would hope that song spoke to them the way it spoke to me, even after I finished writing it. Because a lot of times when you write a song, it's kind of going through you and it's out of you, and then you can kind of sit back and look at it as if it was a song that somebody else wrote. So I'm hoping that the lyrics are clear enough that the singer wants to tell the same story that I'm telling, but tell it in their way, So hopefully the story is attractive enough that would make, another singer want to tell that same story. And, all of us have been through a relationship like that where we're, wondering what happened, So if that it probably appeals to everybody at that level, but whether they want to tell that in a song, or speak to that experience in a song. The song is there. They could share it from their point of view. So I would say it's just a matter of how attractive is this story to you. How much do you want to tell the same story? So.
Yeah, I would add to that Ella is an excellent lyricist. I'm a good lyricist because I write lyrics too, but my lyrics are very primitive compared to her ability, because she has a better command of the language and stuff, right? I can usually get my ideas across, even if it comes to a fight, But her command of the language and ability to put together stories and stuff, not only just lyrics and songs, but also stories, and they're very clear, they're very specific. Her vocabulary is good, So that's another one of the things that I really admired about her when I started to get to know her a little better after we met.
Speaking for myself, I've probably been influenced by every song that I've ever heard. I grew up listening specifically to Dionne Warwick and Burt Bacharach. Those songs that Burt Bacharach wrote for Dionne. They were very melodic, and lyrics, were very clear. That's another reason why I loved getting into jazz, because the stories were so clear. I guess the Tin Pan Alley songs, gosh, I can't even, of course my mind is blank and I can't think of a single writer. I'm finding out that I sing a lot of songs written by Johnny Mercer. And Hoagy Carmichael, the stories were just so clear. Even when they were in, Hoagy Carmichael wrote in metaphors most of the time, and it just seemed that you could still visualize, his lyrics. And I think that's what attracted me to singing jazz in particular.
Yeah.
How about you, Leon? Who inspired you as a musician?
Well, like I said, I've been composing since they invented the pencil, so that takes me back to at least Charlie Parker without going too far back. But yeah, I'm a child of the bebop eras, so Charlie Parker's tune, Dizzy Gillespie's tunes. I'm trying to think what the first Charlie Parker tune that I heard and that I liked. Well, I had to step back a minute before Charlie Parker though to Eddie Cleanhead Vinson, blues, Uh, let's see, who else was back there? That's going way back, way back.
And your song that you wrote dedicated to Billie Holiday.
Billie Holiday, yeah. Well, I was a fan of all of the girl singers back in the day. That was my particular interest. And when Billie Holiday died, at that particular time in my life, I was doing some writing for Max Roach and the Quartet. So I wrote a song for Billie Holiday called "To Lady," and Max heard it and decided to record it. And they recorded the song on the same day that Billie Holiday's funeral was going on up in Harlem. So I used that song to date when she died and when she was laid away. So that wasn't the beginning though. I had written something for Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers before that called "Late Spring," that was played pretty good around town on WRTI, and so that was the beginning of it. While I was at Blue Note, I got a chance to write a lot for the Blue Note artists. Although I was the first musician that was an A&R man that wasn't signed to the company, because I was never signed to the company. But I wrote a lot of stuff for Stanley Turrentine, who was the one that got me the gig at Blue Note. Let's see, Stanley Turrentine, Horace Parlin, and I worked with a lot of the other Blue Note musicians, Jackie McLean.
Okay, this evening I am working with Aaron Graves at the piano, Lee Smith on bass, and Harry Butch Reed on drums.
Yay!
I have worked with a lot of different musicians in the Philly area, outside the Philly area. Something special happens when I work with Aaron, Lee, and Butch. Aaron is probably the premier vocalist pianist. He pays such close attention to everything, and he will give me advice on how to approach a song. He's not just listening to me; he's listening to the whole arrangement, the whole show, and he just has a knack for knowing what fits where. I always have charts. I don't use charts for everything. Most of the time, for this show, I will be using charts for everything because they're all originals. But the chart is basically an outline, for what the song is about, of what I want to happen in the song. But these guys will find ways of turning those charts into creative arrangements. Some kind of way they manage to just add something to each song that we do. And Aaron is at the forefront of it because he just has that ear. He has that ear for the overall performance. And I've watched him as he works with other artists, and he does the same thing. It's just something special about Aaron. Lee Smith. Lee Smith he is just an incredible bassist. One of my favorite things that he does is when we do ballads and we turn it over to him to do the solo, the melodic lines that he comes up with in his ballads are just unlike anybody else's, and that I just love that. And he always manages to find these little things, just these little passages that connect from other songs that he puts into it. It's just amazing. And Harry Butch Reed, he's just had such a great feel, he listens. He's one of the, I have worked with other drummers who do listen, but Harry listens in a different way, and he always manages to hear what I'm doing. He pays attention to what I'm doing, and he adds that. From the first time that I worked with him, he manages to add something based on what it is he heard me do, some kind of a rhythm that I'm singing. He'll pick it up, especially if I sing it a second time around. So these three guys, it's hard to I love working with them, and every time that I work with them, it's a treat for me. And I try to savor it. I know that concerts, they go by so fast. It's a fleeting moment, and I try to savor every every second of the performance because I know it's going to be incredible. Just working with these guys is always incredible, and they make me laugh. They they make me laugh at rehearsal. They make me laugh on stage. Something always goes on. It's just pure joy. It's all I can. That's the best way I can express it. Philly nurturing me as a singer and as a musician. Yeah, I guess I have to start with Evelyn Sims. I've actually been following a lot of the singers that are more well known than I am, and I've paid a lot of attention to them. I had the opportunity when Evelyn Sims, we used to call her Mama Diva. She was the vocalist with the Philadelphia Legends of Jazz Orchestra when Leon took over the band. So I had a chance to go backstage and hang out with her and talk to her. She would tell me stories about some of the experiences that she's had, working with Dizzy Gillespie and, a lot of the big artists. And watching her perform and watching her backstage, watching her in the dressing room. She's the only singer I know that would take 3 outfits to every show, because she never knew how she was going to feel, what she felt like wearing. She would have the full outfits, the whole outfit, the jewelry, the earring, everything. And when she would get to the gig, then she would decide, well, I don't know, what do you think? What do you think about it? I just thought that was fascinating. Now, I'm totally the opposite. I usually know weeks in advance what I'm going to wear. But I just thought she was fascinating to watch. And her style was unlike anybody else's that I had ever heard. So I became really attracted to Evelyn's performance and what she did. And so I owe her a great deal as far as my style and what I ended up with, which I'm still not sure what it is, but I think she had a lot of influence. She influenced me quite a bit. And there's so many other singers. Denise King is just incredible to watch and to listen to. And she's another one. She gave me some of my early gigs, so I have to thank her for that. And Val Ray is another one, working with her and all the other singers. I got a chance to meet the other singers that were more well known than I am and was. And I got a chance to watch their style, so just about every singer that I can think of, Wendy Simon, Suzanne Cloud, watching these ladies perform, and some of the guys. Recently I've been working with Kevin Valentine, and he's a lot of fun. We work together. We laugh a lot. We laugh so much sometimes it's hard to work with him because I use my voice, I mess my voice up laughing with him. But he's another singer that I enjoy. TC the Third, he's got a style that I really enjoy. He's just, he's different. I like that. So I guess just about everybody that I've seen and heard in the Philly area has affected me musically. As far as the work is concerned, I don't know. There's not a lot of places to work, but thankfully Jazzbridge is changing that to the point where they've got neighborhood concerts, in various areas of the tri-state area, and so those are areas that Jazzbridge puts us to work, which we love. And then there are other venues. Yeah. There are other venues too. South, the Bynum Brothers, they have South now, and they have Paris Bistro is another great place. And they have Relish. We used to work at Relish often, back when it was the Ogan's Grill. Now it's a little different, so we tend to work mostly at South and Paris Bistro. So there are a few places to work, but...
Don't forget the Eddie Bruce places.
Oh, yeah. Dino's backstage is a cabaret room, but every so often I get a chance to go in there and sing some jazz. So that's fun. And it's a beautiful theater, a beautiful room, beautiful nightclub, I should say, restaurant, nightclub. And if you like a little cabaret with your jazz, that's probably a good place to go. And Eddie Bruce kind of put me to work. I did some things with him when he was at the Sugar House Casino.
Casino, yeah.
And he would do Eddie Bruce and Friends, a series, and he would call out, some of us, and we would just go up and do a spot and then share some duets with him. So that got me into a different area of the music, and so that was fun. That's a lot of fun.
Charlie Parker was around Philadelphia a lot in the days when I first come into music. Dizzy Gillespie, his second home was Philadelphia. Then we had the Heath Brothers. They're just more and more names that, and a lot of which are international names too, not just Philadelphia names, But yeah, I can't think of anything else. Also, now talking about the group, the trio that backs Ella a lot, with Aaron and Butch and Lee. As good as these guys are, they're open-minded and they will listen.
Right.
If you have a suggestion that will make what they're doing better, what they're doing is great, and you can try to, maybe a little adjustment here and there, and they're wide open to that, no problem. They don't give you. Now, I've worked with a lot of other musicians who, if you try to say something about what they're not doing right, it's already almost ready for a fight to start, because they think they're so great. But these guys don't act like they're great, and that's very important. Aaron, I call him Mr. Master. That's my name for him. And everybody agrees with me, so that's good. I won't get no arguments with that. Lee is outstanding. Their ability to read, first off.
Yeah.
That's the other thing, is the reason why they're able to accept suggestions where a lot of musicians would be insulted if you try to make those same kind of suggestions to them. But these guys take your suggestion and turn it around and make it better than you thought it was going to be, And I can appreciate that because I've dealt with so many musicians. I've been a band leader in many bands. I was the house band leader for the last 10 years of the Uptown Theater. After Sam Reed left town, I became the house band leader, and I was the house band leader for the next 10 years. So, and I've dealt with all kind of musicians. We've had all kind of musicians come through the Uptown that played, were on the road, because it was hard to keep them. Once people would see them in the Uptown, they would grab them and take them on the road, and I'd have to find somebody else. So that made me have to find a whole lot of people back to back. And it was a good experience, though, and they're still doing it.